want to know the difference between dreaming and doing? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior. Tech goes by many names. Business, fine art, forensic science. Some think it's just technical. But really, tech means everything. Scholarships, internships, championships. It's professors who make time for you one-on-one. It's putting everything on the line. It can be fierce. It can be fascinating. It can be awesome. Most important, it's believing in yourself and what you have to offer the world. Because at Indiana Tech, warriors are prepared to lead a significant life.
You're busy. You expect to say no sometimes. But what you didn't expect was a chance to say yes to a college degree while keeping your life. Indiana Tech is now offering Chicago area students undergraduate and graduate degree opportunities taught online by experienced faculty who care. Learn more at one of the new Indiana Tech enrollment centers in Naperville or Wilmette.
I can turn this in early? Sure, whenever you're ready.
Embrace the unexpected at Indiana Tech.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that there aren't very many energy programs out there. When I researched all of the various programs recently, there are really only 2 or 3 accredited engineering programs.
I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada originally. I came out here to Indiana Tech to actually go for the energy engineering program because of its uniqueness and its ability to get hands-on with the materials I'm going to be using in the future.
Well, a few of the things I think that sets Indiana Tech apart is, number one, you have very small classes. You have very close relationships with your professors. When you have a class of 10 people, it's much easier to get to know the professor and get in contact with him than if you have a class of 30, 40, or 50. You're going to have the same professors for the majority of your classes. You're going to have the same classmates for the majority of your classes.
The more practical applications come in all the subsequent energy engineering classes. He transfers in a class that right after they're leaving the classroom, and the board is filled with calculus. So in order to understand a lot of these topics, they're going to need to understand the calculus there. Calculus is the study of the rate of change, how fast things change. And depending upon whether it's energy engineering, industrial engineering, or whatever, they're going to need to use that and apply that.
Professor Romary, he stands out to me the most right now because when I first got here, I had to take calculus, Calc 1, Calc 2. And he's one of the professors that teaches it. And he just really was a very kind and helpful guy, and he did whatever he could to help us out. He was very funny, always had a way of creatively teaching calculus to us that not a whole lot of people can do. And I think that and how he did it is going to be something that's going to stick for me for a very long time.
The field work that Indiana Tech can provide here is, for example, we have a 10 kilowatt windmill that the students can work with. We have a geothermal system for a couple of the buildings for Utangsu and for Zollner that uses geothermal principles to heat and cool the buildings in the summer and the winter.
The PV array system, training system that we have down here in the basement allows us to wire up the panels we have down in the basement to set it up as a off-the-grid system or a battery bank system, which helps us because we can see every component of the system actually intertwining and how they work together, which is something that may not be easily visible when you're on the job site in a career. So definitely my internship at Super Value Incorporated was a very, very beneficial program for me to be in. It It was more based on the process and logistical side of engineering of my degree, not necessarily the design aspect. It helped me really learn how the most efficient way to do a task and some of the boundaries that come with trying to make things more efficient.
One of the things that we've been very fortunate here at Indiana Tech is that we've had a grant through AEP to help subsidize our students in taking some of the various trips in spring break. Over the last 4 years, I have taken, along with a couple of other chaperones, I've taken almost a couple of dozen students to a trip to Germany and Switzerland that focused on renewable energy. We've gone to Iceland last year, focusing on geothermal energy, and we just recently returned from a trip to Costa Rica.
Just last year, I went to Iceland with a couple of our peers, not even just energy engineers, but a couple of other engineering majors went along with us. And for me, that was the highlight of my college time. I mean, we learned a lot about like geothermal systems and how they converted to a country of basically like ran just by geothermal. But it wasn't just learning about that, it was also learning about their culture as well, you know, and the past and the history and where they plan to go in their future. And all those things combined, I think really kind of defines my experience here in Indiana Tech.
You can be the smartest engineer in the world, but if you cannot talk to or work with other engineers and non-engineers, it's very hard to get anything done. I try to teach my students that while you may not like writing, it's going to be a part of the job. You have to communicate. If you're doing experiments or testing hardware in the lab, you need to write it up so that other people know what you did, and the customer may want to know what are the results of that test.
Something I would remember most about the faculty would be just the one-on-one aspect of it and how open they are to hearing your problems and concerns and willing to assist you. Indiana Tech, with the class sizes being so small, you really get that one-on-one talking, everyday type relationship with your advisors and your professors. And having that is key to success, I feel, because being able to communicate with them and actually get your problems and questions across is going to help clarify things for you while you're in classes in school, which is going to set you up for success.
Welcome to the Summit City, home to the 260's dedicated high school athletes and fans. Each victory and celebration captured by our camera. Treasure the highlights from the Summit Athletic Conference this season, or complete games live or on demand. After all, nobody's more proud to call Fort Wayne home than SummitCitySports.com.
Want to know what it means to be a warrior? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and walk a mile in a warrior's shoes. You want to know what's possible at Indiana Tech? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior.
From just outside downtown Fort Wayne, Indiana, we are live from the Schaefer Center on the campus of Indiana Tech as the number 19 ranked Indiana Tech Warriors, a perfect 18-0 in the conference slate this year, play host to the Michigan-Dearborn Wolverines here on SummitCitySports.com. Jaron Matheny, glad you are with us here on this Wednesday night. Double dip in the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference this evening with Michigan-Dearborn in town to take on Indiana Tech women's and men's basketball. It is a busy day in Indiana Tech athletics. We've got softball going on currently in Game 2 of their doubleheader against Olivet Nazarene. Right here on our YouTube page, you can find the link to that softball matchup going on currently here at Indiana Tech. It is Pink Out Night at the Schaefer Center, and here on this Valentine's Day, Ash Wednesday, February 14th, should be a good one between Michigan-Dearborn and Indiana Tech. And while the records say what they say, and on paper, Tech will be a favorite to win this game and stay unbeaten in the conference this year, Michigan-Dearborn has been playing better as of late. Back-to-back losses in the schedule, but got their first conference win over Madonna just a week and a half ago. The Wolverines 2-22 on the year, 1-10 on the road this season, 1-0 in neutral site games. They've yet to notch a win on the home floor this year. Coming off a 15-point loss at Aquinas the last time out, all 5 starters for Michigan-Dearborn played 40 minutes in that game. They're dealing with some ineligibility issues coming into play here today, so that's why this roster is depleted, and that's the only way you can really put it. It's a depleted roster for Michigan-Dearborn coming in to play this evening. The Wolverines were 39% from the floor, 4 of 19 from three-point range in that loss to Aquinas, while Alana Blackwell had 25 points for Aquinas to lead all scorers in that game. The Wolverines head coach Brooke Bowers is in her second year as the head coach, 6th overall season with the program, and she was part of the 2018-19 staff that won 24 games, a program record. Just trying to find that balance once again with Michigan-Dearborn this season. Maya Barakat is the leading scorer for the Wolverines, 15.3 points a game, 11.1 rebounds a contest for Barakat. The 5'10" senior out of Dearborn also leads the team in field goal percentage, 47%, as well as free throw percentage at 75% this year. And Barakat also with 40 blocks on the season. She had 13 points and 12 rebounds in the first matchup between these two sides. Back on January 3rd, it was a 24-point win, 88-64 for Indiana Tech at Michigan-Dearborn. That marked 15 consecutive wins for the Tech women's basketball program over the Wolverines, and 19 out of the last 20 games as well. Indiana Tech 21-3 overall, 18-0 in the conference this season, and the conference shaping up like this currently as of play today. Indiana Tech is the top seed with the playoffs right around the corner. 2 wins for Indiana Tech will secure a regular season crown, as they've got the tiebreaker over Siena Heights, who's at 16-2 in the conference standings. Concordia at 15-3. They'll be here 1 week from tonight, next Wednesday, for another doubleheader. Rochester and Cornerstone battling it out for that 4th position to get a home game in the quarterfinals. Both 10-8 in the conference. Lawrence Tech not far behind at 9-9, and Aquinas and Lourdes tied for 7th place with 7-11 conference records. University of Northwestern Ohio 6-12, Madonna 5-13, and Cleary 4-14. Dearborn has officially been eliminated from postseason contention in the WHAC conference tournament this year. Coming in currently at number 12 in the standings with that 1 conference win. But Northwestern Ohio got a chance to sneak in to that 8th spot, depending upon how Lourdes and Aquinas wrap up their season. But as you see, they are the only current ranked team, and the only team currently receiving votes here in women's basketball in the WHAC is Indiana Tech, moving up 2 spots from number 21 to number 19 in the latest edition of the poll, which came out today. Dordt University in Iowa remains the number 1 team in NAI women's basketball. The Defenders received 20 out of the 21 first place votes. And then down the line, still see Carroll and Providence inside the top 25. Marion in Indianapolis, they're at number 2 currently. Indiana Wesleyan still inside the top 10. Mayville State out of North Dakota. Jordan's Rust, one of those Player of the Year type candidates for Mayville State. They're at the number 12 spot in the rankings currently. But as I mentioned, Indiana Tech is the only team from the WHAC to be even receiving votes for the top 25 poll. Siena Heights completely fell out of the receiving votes category despite a 21-3 record, and there are 3 losses this season coming against IU South Bend, who, if I'm not mistaken, is unbeaten this year. And then the other 2 losses against Indiana Tech. Yeah, South Bend 24-0 and Tech at 21-3. Why Siena Heights isn't getting a lot of love, I'm not sure. One of the best defenses nationally, and a team that certainly could make a postseason run. We'll see if we see the Saints here inside the Schaefer Center at any point soon, potentially once again in the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference postseason tournament. Michigan-Dearborn, the Wolverines, 2-22 overall, 1-17, and the conference mark this year, taking on the Indiana Tech Warriors, who come in with a 21-3 overall record, unbeaten in the WHAC this season at 18-0. 4 conference games remaining, including here tonight. A win this evening and a win on Saturday guarantees at least a share of the WHAC crown, depending upon how tiebreakers work out. They've got the 2 games in hand over Siena Heights, so it should be an outright regular season championship for Indiana Tech. With that considered, Warriors have won 12 consecutive games coming into play tonight, and again, the only 3 losses this season, for Indiana Tech have all come against ranked competition. Number 16, Providence, fell to then number 2, Indiana Wesleyan, and fell to a receiving votes Georgetown team who had cracked inside the top 25 not shortly after that. Georgetown all the way at number 11 currently. So the 3 losses for Indiana Tech, currently all ranked teams. IWU at number 4, number 11 for Georgetown, and then Providence still inside the top 15 at number 14. Indiana Tech looks to stay unbeaten in the conference standings. Michigan-Dearborn looking for what could be a program-changing type of win on the road at the Schaefer Center tonight. It's pink out, and we're having some fun. Wolverines and Warriors coming your way next after the national anthem. We'll get your starting lineups and have tip-off from the Schaefer Center. SummitCitySports.com. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to the Summit City, home to the 260's dedicated high school athletes and fans. Each victory and celebration captured by our camera. Treasure the highlights from the Summit Athletic Conference this season, or complete games live or on demand. After all, nobody's more proud to call Fort Wayne home than SummitCitySports.com.
I decided if I was going to come to Indiana Tech, I was going to be a different kind of instructor. I was really going to focus on connecting with students, teaching the students the theory that they needed, and also the practical applications.
Very practically, what that looks like is smaller class sizes. So my class sizes are the 8 to 10 up to maybe 20. And that's backed up with, we have 18 hours of office hours every week. I'm sitting in my office waiting for students to come in to talk about anything. It doesn't just have to be with the classroom.
In the College of Engineering, we have ABET accreditation for mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and biomedical engineering. ABET is the top accrediting board for engineering in the United States and probably in the world.
Another thing that is a very different approach at Indiana Tech, I think, that some other universities, is we try and make sure they have a lot of lab experience in the engineering department. All engineering programs are going to have laboratory courses, but in our laboratory courses we try to get them not just exposure to measurements and exposure to some of the devices that you'll be used, but I like to actually assign projects that are, realistic projects.
Those projects, this project-based learning, help students to work together in a group and be hands-on with their the material or the product that they're creating. Engineering students at Indiana Tech are, to me, stand out because I know that they've had a lot of experiences working in groups, working on projects, doing lab experiments to help them understand the material, and I think that prepares them well for industry.
First thing I'll tell a high school student is study, study, study. Get all the math you can possibly get. I honestly believe that the critical thinking skills you learn in math courses will help you with engineering courses.
The type of knowledge base that students should have coming in, they need to be problem solvers and critical thinkers. Those two things are really the essence of engineering. Regardless of flavor, they're going to need to figure out, there's a problem here, how do I solve it? And they need to think critically about that. They need to observe, listen to people, and then kick in those problem-solving skills to solve the problem.
Part of the growth of Indiana Tech has involved an increasing number of international students. So I think if we can expose students to different ideas, different cultures, again, it makes them that much more competitive in the marketplace.
In the Fort Wayne area, we have lots of large companies, BAE Systems, Fort Wayne Metals, General Motors, Raytheon, Harris Corporation, and the list goes on. We have a lot of employers that want our engineering students.
Indiana Tech, I think, continues to serve students even beyond their graduation. We really strive to keep in touch with our alumni on a personal level just to see how they're doing, but then also they want to give back to the university because of the experiences they've had here, so they want to provide opportunities for other students here as well.
And we welcome you back to the Schaefer Center, SummitCitySports.com, as they go through the starting lineup for the visitors on the scoreboard. Maya Barakat rounds out the starting five for Michigan-Dearborn. Morgan Miller also makes the start alongside India Grissom, Olivia Scott, and Bailey Stimmick. That's the starting five for Michigan-Dearborn. Wolverines 2-22 overall, 1-17 in the WHAC this season. They'll be at Cleary on Saturday before two home games to round out the regular season against Northwestern Ohio and Siena Heights. Now as we get ready for the starting lineups to be introduced for Indiana Tech, let's meet the starters for the Indiana Tech Warriors. Number 19 currently in the country. Indiana Tech lines up per usual tonight in their gray uniforms. Juliana Burris, Genevieve Decker, Taylor Covington, Erica Foy, and Corinne Smith making up that starting five for Indiana Tech. Let's tune in for the rest of the starters. Here's our public address announcer from the Schaefer Center. Erica Foy on record watch once again this evening, 9 points away for the grad student from surpassing the all-time leading scoring mark in Tech women's basketball program history. 2,082 career points. Crosley from 82 to 86 put up those 2,082 career points. Foy 8 away from tying, 9 from surpassing, and the opening tilt is won by Indiana Tech. Warriors operating from left to right. Taylor Covington, Corinne Smith, Genevieve Decker, Juliana Burris, and Erica Foy make up the starting five for the Warriors. Foy gives left, Burris extra touch to Smith, and out of the inside, Decker on the opening possession. Muscles one up and in, good for two, and the Warriors strike first. 1 for 1 from the floor as Decker grabs the first bucket. Grissom for Barakat, and they'll float it back out up high. Again, the Wolverines have dealt with some issues just keeping depth on the roster this year, one way or another. Stimmick comes away with a basketball out up high for the freshman guard from St. Charles. Dishes off left. Scott, one on the shot clock, gets it back to Grissom. Her three at the horn is off, and defensive rebound for Indiana Tech. Warriors, 12 consecutive victories. Postseason berth in the national tournament, pretty much a certainty at this point. Back inside, Decker's got the height advantage and muscles another one up and through. Not a whole lot for Olivia Scott to be able to do for Michigan-Dearborn. Size certainly the advantage for Indiana Tech here on this Wednesday night. Bearcat help coming all around her. She still finds a way to get around the hip of Foy and lay it off the window. Maya Bearcat, 15.5 points per game, 11 rebounds a contest. First team all WHAC, I'd say without a doubt, averaging double-double numbers this year, despite what they've done in the win column. Covington, deep look, and that's off the right side. Grissom, 11.5 points a game, unable to finish here. Defensive rebound for Erica Foy, comes in with more than 1,100 career rebounds. And a do-everything type of player for Indiana Tech. Two-time honorable mention All-American in the NAIA. Decker going to work again. This time was blocked by Scott. Good defense from the junior from Ontario. Up high. Miller bounced it left. Scott, baseline, pulls up. Jump shot's too strong. Burris comes down with it. Good pace so far, and nearly a takeaway for Stimmick in the backcourt. Covington steps into another triple. That's offline. Stimmick defensive rebound. Wolverines possession, trailing by just 2 early. 3 minutes into the opening quarter. Head coach Jesse Biggs patrols the sidelines for Indiana Tech. It's Brooke Bowers on the other side for Michigan-Dearborn in her second season. Coach Biggs in year number 12. Shot clock to 6. Scott got to go somewhere. Good defense from Tech. Grissom going to have to hoist. Got it off just before the buzzer. And we've got a foul coming on Indiana Tech. India Grissom to the free throw line, shooting 2, where she is a 68% free throw shooter this season. Decker charged with a personal foul. She'll come off as Bethany Worm enters for the first time. Worm, 7 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists in the 40-point win at Rochester on Saturday for Indiana Tech. Grissom's first free throw is good. Indiana Tech up to 10th in the country when it comes to the points per game allowed category this season. 55.8 points allowed per contest on the year. 10th best in the NAIA as Grissom goes 1 for 2. Also the top team in limiting turnovers for Indiana Tech. Number 1 in the country for NAIA women's basketball. 10.6 turnovers per game. Foy in the lane, pulls up too strong. Stimmick comes away with the basketball, checks back, and now we'll keep the pace moving with Miller. Right wing triple. Doesn't get the bank. And Amaris Lowry, newly into the game as well, has a defensive rebound. Tech up the floor quickly. Worm went to go out for Smith, and it's taken away. It's Morgan Miller in the starting lineup for the Wolverines. Grissom on the attack, banks it in, and Michigan-Dearborn has its first lead. 4 minutes off the clock here in the opening quarter, 5-4. As Corinne Smith charges the other side, puts it up, and banks it in. Well, what you needed on the other end for Indiana Tech there. As the Warriors fell behind briefly. Scott looking to go somewhere. Pink out tonight. You can see Dearborn repping that as well underneath their navy blue jerseys. Entire Indiana Tech bench wearing pink. Loose ball, and it was last touched by the Wolverines. Couple of subs coming in for both teams. Decker and Covington return for Indiana Tech. And Desiree Jackson is on for the first time for Michigan-Dearborn. Under 5 will bring us to our first media timeout. Number 19 leading by 1. Lowry looking for a cutting Worm. Gets into the paint against Jackson. Floats it up and through, and Bethany Worm 1 for 1 from the floor. Grissom. The screen left from Bearcat. Looking for Stimmick. They'll go Jackson back inside. Bearcat stripped by Worm, who ends up with a basketball and a takeaway. Lowry trying to push the pace to the other side. Slowed up by Stimmich. Turnaround jumper, no. And still 9 points to get for Erica Foy to become the all-time leading scorer in Tech women's basketball history. Next whistle takes us to a media timeout as well. Grissom midway through the shot clock. Got a foul and a moving screen on Michigan-Dearborn. Takes us to the media timeout. 4:25 first quarter, 8-5. Warriors on top. SummitCitySports.com. We'll be right back.
Want to know what it means to be a Warrior? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and walk a mile in a Warrior's shoes.
Good luck, Tammy.
See you, David.
Things happen. How do you make the unexpected happen? Take the next step with an online degree from Indiana Tech. Start with a visit to one of our 2 new Chicago area enrollment centers in Naperville or Wilmette. You'll discover a wide range of affordable undergraduate and graduate degrees with flexible class schedules designed to fit your lifestyle and help you earn a degree sooner than you'd expect. Embrace the unexpected at Indiana Tech.
You want to know what's possible at Indiana Tech? Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a Warrior.
4:25 left in the first quarter. It's 8-5. Indiana Tech with the lead on Michigan-Dearborn, and the Warriors have the basketball. Jaron Matheny, SummitCitySports.com. Glad you're with us. Esau Haynes is running our camera here tonight. Usually have Esau on our camera. This weekend, we'll have a different crew in town. We cover your games on Saturday against Lords. As Esau will be competing in the indoor and outdoor track conference championship as Erica Foy knocks down the triple. 6 points away from becoming the all-time leading scorer in Tech history. Stimmich skip pass to the left side. Barricat back for Stimmich. 3:45 opening quarter. Jackson open lane from the outside, but too strong. Up the floor, Decker runs the floor well and gets another bucket. Genevieve Decker, 6 early points. Then a turnover, Covington came up short, and it's out of bounds. Dearborn with possession. Take a look back here on our replay. Missed the shot. And Genevieve Decker running the floor right now across midcourt, calling for the basketball, and does the rest with a left-handed lay-in. (13-5), Warriors in front. Mollick's on the floor for the first time for Dearborn. Grissom on the drive, had it stripped free. Covington picks it up. Foy running the floor. It's up to Burris instead. She attacks and lays it off the window. Juliana Burris, and a 10-point lead for Indiana Tech. Barricat driving through, took an extra step and a turnover, and the Warriors settling in all of a sudden as Indiana Tech in the midst of a 7-0 run. 11-0 over the last 3-11. Covington gives up high. Foy, head fake. Worm the touch. Back for Foy. On the drive, Foy too strong. Offensive rebound for Burris. She goes back on the attack. She had a bit too much underneath it as well. Still a 10-point Indiana Tech advantage. Up the floor for Stimmich. Jackson slings it inside. Barricat, and a foul on Erica Foy. Too much contact to Barakat. That is the second team foul of the quarter on Indiana Tech. First against Foy. And Amaris Lowry is in for Erica Foy. Barakat holding up high midway through the clock, went to hand it off. Burris knocks it out of bounds, and it will be Indiana Tech basketball as Stimac touched it last. Michigan-Dearborn wants to talk some things over. Wolverines trailing by 10, 2:03 opening quarter. We'll be back right after this at the Schaefer Center, SummitCitySports.com. .03 to go in the first quarter. Band is rocking on Pink Out Night from the Schaefer Center, SummitCitySports.com. Jaron Matheny, glad to be with you. Esau Haynes running our camera here this evening. It's Lowry, right corner, pocket triple, and a 13-point Tech advantage. Amaris Lowry knocks down the tray. Offensive foul called on the Wolverines. And this is a little bit more of what we expected, at least when you look at the records. Two teams basically on the opposite end of the spectrum here. And an 18-5 Indiana Tech lead. Covington's drive off. Offensive rebound opportunity, kicked out to the corner and out of bounds, and possession for the Wolverines. Here's the Lowry three. Plant your feet. She does the rest. It's such an extra added threat from beyond the arc for Tech this season. Grissom gives up right. Stimac on the left side. Get it back out up high. Shot clock to single digits. Grissom going in. Barakat backs up against Worm. Has to throw it back out. Grissom. Shot clock all the way down to 1. It's a shot clock violation. And Indiana Tech with another stop defensively. So we're down to the final minute of the opening quarter. Decker back in. Worm comes out. Lauren Barton is in for the first time tonight. Burris and Worm to the bench for the final 55 seconds now of the opening quarter. Barton about 4.5 points per game. Use her a lot more as this season has progressed. Smith in the lane and is whistled for a travel. No real 2-for-1 opportunity here for Dearborn. 12 seconds separating shot and game clock. Stimac to the inside, batted free. Shot clock goes dark and looking for one shot for Indiana Tech. Covington peeks up. Dribbles to the left. And we're down to 9. Motion starts. Covington. 3-ball banks in for Taylor Covington. And that'll close the opening quarter of action from the Schaefer Center. Slow start for Indiana Tech, and they've picked up since then. 16-0 run to finish the first quarter, make it a 17-0 run to finish the opening quarter. And Indiana Tech is on top, 21-5. Second quarter action comes your way after this break here on SummitCitySports.com.
It's really important for freshmen to realize you get out of college what you put into it. If you dedicate yourself to your classes and to your projects and to what you're doing in college, you're going to have a really great experience here.
I wish someone would have told me my freshman year that it's important to prioritize, knowing what's important, what's not important, knowing what I need to do opposed to what I want to do.
The two things that I think all freshmen should know is buy a parking permit so you don't rack up a bunch of fines and tickets, and also make sure you go to class, because it seems like a good idea when you're skipping, but then it's not worth it in the end when you fail the test or don't turn in homework.
As an international student, my advice for the freshmen is to not be afraid to make friends, because your friends here will end up being your family away from home.
Anything that you want to do, anything that you want to put on, anything that you want to showcase on campus, you can. There's always people around to help you do what you want to do here.
Make sure that you always take time for yourself to make sure that you're okay, because college can be very overwhelming as far as like schoolwork and friends and sports and just like everyday life. Always just make sure that you get what you need to get done.
It's important to have a relationship with your professors, because you become more personable with them. You start to engage in the material more. They can give you recommendations, especially once you get out of college. You definitely want to put them down as like references, and if you have a better personal relationship, it just makes the whole learning experience go smoothly.
A 17-0 run to end the opening quarter in favor of Indiana Tech. It's Dearborn basketball to start the second. Jackson just inside the three-point line, knocks down the 20-foot jumper. Desiree Jackson, her first bucket of the evening, and we got ourselves a football score here at 21-7. Jared Matheny for SummitCitySports.com. Esau Haynes running our camera tonight. Erica Foy, 6 points away from becoming the all-time leading scorer in Tech women's basketball program history. Trying to make it 4, too strong. 2,077 career points at the moment for Foy. Jackson on the handoff up high. Deep range and a three ball as Malik knocks it through. (21-9) on the scoreboard. Believe, though, that was a 3 knockdown. Should be 21-10. As they called her foot on the line. Inside look for Foy. Turnaround, jumper falls through. And Erica Foy just 4 points away from the all-time record. Malik to the opposite side, gets it back, driving in, left lane line, now out for Jackson. And start of the first quarter, offense had a little bit of a rhythm for Dearborn, just lost it as the quarter continued. They've got the rhythm to start this second quarter as Jackson knocks down another 3. Desiree Jackson, 5 out of the 12 points for the Wolverines. And a foul on the other end as Indiana Tech pushed it up the floor quickly. That's the one thing. Okay, you made the shot. You got to get back defensively, especially against some of these top teams. You look at Taylor Covington, 4.3 assists per game. A lot of that comes in the transition game for Indiana Tech. We saw it with Genevieve Decker in the opening quarter. Foy. Layup is good, and Erica Foy just needs 1 point to tie, 2 to become the all-time leading scorer in women's basketball history here at Indiana Tech. 25-12 Warriors. Bearcats 3 is too strong. Worm for Covington. Foy gives it up to Smith. Worm going inside. Erica Foy. And 1 as she becomes the all-time leading scorer in Tech women's basketball program history, plus the foul. 2,083 career points for Erica Foy, and she is now all alone at number 1 in Tech history. With an and 1 free throw on top of it. and she's into double figures. $16-point advantage. Foy, hand in the cookie jar. Burris falls on top of it. And Indiana Tech ends up taking a timeout. 7:07 left in the first half. Here it is. Erica Foy, off the assist from Bethany Worm, becomes the all-time leading scorer in Tech women's basketball history. We'll step aside and come back right after this. SummitCitySports.com. The record breaker for Erica Foy, as she is forever etched in history here at Indiana Tech. We knew that before this bucket, but this one puts a little extra sprinkles on the top as she breaks the record that stood for almost 40 years. 2,084 and counting career points for Erica Foy. And she'll be on that Indiana Tech website and the history page in no time as she becomes number one. And obviously a long career to get to this point, but nothing better than making history here on a Wednesday night, Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day that nobody on this Tech squad will soon forget. Warriors with a basketball out of the timeout as Foy surpasses Layla Crossley. 2,082 career points from 84 through 88. Covington one-on-one the other way, beats Grissom to the spot and hits the left-handed lay-in. Left wing triple for Jackson, off the iron and falls through, and Desiree Jackson putting on a show. She's got half of the points for Dearborn. Response on the other end. Corinne Smith the triple. And Indiana Tech has hit 6 of their last 7 shots. Jackson with 8 out of the 15. Lay-in missed from Grissom. The Warriors could extend it to its largest advantage of the game with a bucket here for Indiana Tech. Foy is fouled by Jackson. Tried to stay straight up, but just got her arms down at an angle, which will put Foy at the line for 2 attempts. Amaris Lowry, Genevieve Decker back in for Indiana Tech. Foy, 87% at the line this season. And missed the first of 2. 27 points, 7 rebounds at Rochester on Saturday. 34 points, her season high against Madonna earlier this year. But 0 for 2 on this trip to the line for Foy. I'll take all the blame on that one. 87%, I had to say it. She is still the leading free throw shooter on the Tech roster. Jackson out up high, looking for double figures. It's off the front iron, kicks to the corner. Stimac with an offensive rebound, keep possession alive. Nearly midway through the second quarter. Nice spin move, but unable to pick up the finish for Scott. Smith, head fake. Back for Burris. Plenty of time to work on this offensive possession. Give it to Foy. Rolled off the front iron. Grissom nearly poked free. Scott picks it up, driving to the inside. Couldn't get around Lowry. Good defensive stop and numbers up the floor for Indiana Tech. Foy runs the floor. Burris found her. No good on the lay-in. Decker offensive rebound. It's out of bounds and sticks with Indiana Tech for 45 second quarter. And Bethany Worm entering for Indiana Tech. We did take that media timeout with the pause by the Warriors when they called for timeout. So we are good to go through the media break window. And another foul on Michigan-Dearborn, make that the 4th of the quarter. So one more foul, it's double bonus time. Decker good for 2 more as her nice night at the office continues. 4 for 5 from the floor for Genevieve Decker. 8 points in just 9 minutes. Jackson again to the cup. Draws the foul. Desiree Jackson going to be shooting too. Bethany Worm pretty animated after that whistle. And her arms crossed right now. Not me, not me. Jackson shooting 2 free throws. And before that one, she was perfect on the season at 100%. Did not play in the first meeting against Indiana Tech. Jackson's season high is 10 points. And she goes 1 for 2 here. Now 9 points in this game against the Warriors tonight. Down to 4:15 in the first half. Lowry open look, and this kicks off the iron. Grissom off to the right. Miller kicking out left. Final 4 minutes of the first half. Stimmich trying to create some separation, nearly lost it into the corner. Grissom collects. Shot clock to single digits. Countdown starts from the Wolverine bench. And a reach-in foul on Lowry. Be the second team foul of the quarter against Indiana Tech. Covington back on as Decker just picked up her second personal. That'll bring Erica Foy back in as well. Burris and Decker to the bench. So that was on Decker, not Lowry. Jackson, a new season high for Desiree Jackson as she knocks down another 2-pointer from about 20 feet. 11 points for Jackson here in the first half. And she's kept Dearborn afloat in the offensive category. Cutting Smith in the lane. Spins and came up short. Work the ball back towards the top for Grissom. She attacks, but too strong off the window against Lowry. Looked in at Worm. Instead, it's Smith. Right wing 3 ball is pure from Corinne Smith. Nothing but the twine. Lowry the assists. Final 3 minutes of the opening half. It's gone according to plan for Indiana Tech outside the first 4 minutes. Miller deep range shot, and she's got the call back. Quickly, Indiana Tech up the floor. And we just talked about a little bit earlier. That's the issue. Warriors don't waste any time. This jump shot's off. Stimmich got a chance to bring it back to 15. Pull up inside the 3-point line, but too strong. Indiana Tech offensively averaging 70.6 points per game this year. 77th in the NAIA out of about 280 or so teams. Entry Foy around Jackson, gets the lay-in. 19-point lead for Indiana Tech inside the final 2 minutes of quarter two. No look pass from Jackson, and Foy ends up with it. Worm, extra pass for Smith. She gets herself the position and lays it through. Corinne Smith. And a 21-point lead for Indiana Tech. Grissom nearly lost that pivot foot. Miller for Scott. Stivic, nice work on the backdoor look. And the freshman finishes off the window. Decker is back at the scores table for Tech despite those two personal fouls, although we're at this point in the game right now where Tech can extend an advantage. Foy missing as we're down to the final minute, but if Tech extends, you're thinking that fourth quarter belongs to some of the girls that are deeper on the bench. Maybe the foul's not as much of an issue here tonight. Jackson again on the drive, this time unable to finish, although some extra contact. "15-second difference between shot and game clock." Foy into the paint, puts it up and good again. Double digits for Erica Foy. She's already become the all-time leading scorer, padding the stats now as the shot clock is off. Grissom up high, and a 21-point lead for Indiana Tech. Jackson, 3 seconds and 2, stripped away by Foy. Gonna have to launch. Foy at the horn, no good. And that's how the first half comes to a close at the Schaefer Center. 44-23, Indiana Tech on top as we hit the halftime break. We'll come back and have some halftime stats. Look forward to the second half of action in game number 2 as well. Warriors on top by 21. Let's check out all that's happening on the campus of Indiana Tech.
Hi, I'm Paxton, and I'll be your tour guide today. Behind me, we have Pearson Hall. This is one of our freshman dorms on campus. Today, I'll be showing you dorm rooms. Come inside. The only way to get into campus is if you have an ID card, so you'll have to swipe into all the dorms. And then over here, we have an intercom system. So through every dorm, we have these dial buttons within the dorm rooms and then outside. So say you're visiting somebody, you don't live here, you would dial their room number, and then you can actually call their room, and they can unlock the doors to the dorm through the intercom system, and you can talk to them. They can see you through a camera, and they can unlock the doors for you so they don't have to leave the room. It's really nice to have. So right here we just have our main lobby. Every floor has a lobby. In the lobbies we just have TVs and stuff. You can watch movies, play video games. You can hang out with friends, do homework, play card games. It's just a nice little hangout area to have. And then right here, this is what we call our RA office. So every single night there will be an RA in the office. They're just there for your needs if you have any issues with toilets or sinks or anything being clogged. They'll always be in there for your help. If you have questions about anything, you can always come see an RA here. And then over here, we have mailboxes. Every student has a mailbox. They are really small. The only thing they can fit is card-sized items. Throughout campus, you'll see our mail room when you go on your actual tour later on, and that will be in one of our other buildings where you'll receive bigger packages. All right, so here's the laundry room. So in the laundry room, you don't have to save quarters or use quarters. I know it says 25 cents, but it is included with living on campus. And then there's one on every floor and every side of the floor, so there's 2 on every floor in Pearson. So every student has keys to their dorm. And then as you come in, you will see our intercom system right here that I talked about in the entranceway. So this is where you would unlock the door for visitors, talk to them. And then one really nice thing about it is there is a security guard button right there.
So if you were to have somebody like calling your room constantly at like 5 o'clock in the morning because some student forgot their keys, you could actually press the security guard button and it will lock them in that little box that we entered to into the dorm. It'll lock both the outside doors and the inside doors and call security. So it also has a nice safety measure through within your room. You don't even have to leave your room for that. So that's really nice. And then as we enter in this way, you'll see this is the half of our room looks like. So there's this, and then on the other side of the suite, there's a mirrored room that looks exactly like this. The desk, the dressers, and the closets, and all of the drawers and stuff all come with. You can decorate it any way you'd like, and then like mini fridges, TVs, anything like that you would bring here. And then through here we have our bathroom. So then as we come into the bathroom, you'll see that this side of the room has their own sink and toilet, and then as you come through, there's one shower shared between the two rooms, and then this side of the room has their own sink and toilet, and then there's the mirrored room right here. So then they share a little common space out there, and then this is the exact same stuff, and it's all the same. Here we have CalFlush. This is our other freshman dorm on campus. It is across the street from main campus. We'll be showing another freshman dorm, the laundry room, and then the hangout lobby area. Come on in. So same thing as Pearson. To get into the dorms, you have to have a swipe card that unlocks and lets you in. All right, and then we have the same intercom system as we do in Pearson, and it runs throughout all of the dorms. And then in here is the lobby area where all the students hang out. We have like a TV so people can hook up like Xboxes or anything like that, DVD players, you can watch movies. I know RA's put on a bunch of activities down here. They do like movie nights with hot chocolate during the winter. We've done like pumpkin carving, and we watch a Halloween movie, and so that's all done down here. And then it's the same thing over here. You can do some studying, you can hang out with friends, you can eat dinner if you want, and like I said, you can hang out with your RA, hang out with your friends, do homework, but follow me to the next part. So same thing as Pearson, every student has keys to their dorm. So when you first walk in, it's different than Pearson where there's no like two mirrored room. It's just one room with two students. The shelves, the desk, the drawers, all of the beds and stuff all come with. And then over here, it's the same for Pearson and CalFlush. You can control the air condition and the heat for the room, not the entire dorm, which is so nice because then it's between you and your roommate, not through hundreds of people in one building. And then as we walk over here, you'll see that the sink is outside of the bathroom, which is so nice because obviously if your roommate's showering, you don't have to worry about not being able to brush your teeth or even use the sink or get a drink of water or anything like that. And then as we walk over here, you'll see only two roommates to one bathroom. And then the shelving space. And then instead of Pearson where they have closets, you would have this whole shelving space and hanger area. And then same thing as Pearson, we have the intercom system over here where you can press the security guard button, you can talk to them, and then see them through the camera. CalFlush also has mailboxes. They're the same size. They fit card-sized items. And again, if you have any bigger packages, we do have a mailroom on campus. So then through here, this is the laundry room. The difference between Pearson and CalFlush is CalFlush, there's only one in the whole building and it's on the first floor, whereas Pearson has them on every floor. But it is the same as they are included with living here, so you don't have to use quarters. It's free to the students. And that concludes the tour. Thanks for coming with. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to your counselor. Hope to see you around campus. Go Warriors!
Halftime break from the Schaefer Center, 44-23, Indiana Tech leading Michigan-Dearborn. SummitCitySports.com, Jared Matheny, glad you're with us here on this Wednesday night. Happy Valentine's Day to you all as we check out some scores currently across the NAI landscape here this evening. Most games in the WHAC starting at 5:30 on the women's side and then 7:30 for men's basketball. We're a half hour behind here at Indiana Tech. So most of these scores could be into the fourth quarter already, which is where we find Concordia with a 65-58 lead over Madonna. That game is into the fourth quarter, and all these are in the fourth quarter unless I know otherwise. Aquinas 59, Northwestern Ohio 42. Cleary with a 5-point lead at Cornerstone currently. That game with 8:20 remaining in the fourth quarter. Other games in the WHAC, start of the fourth quarter, Lourdes 33, Lawrence Tech 31. I'm interested in maybe that's actually the start of the third quarter and the stats just aren't right, but that's what it says. Start of the fourth quarter, 33-31, Lourdes at Indiana Tech. Halftime at Siena Heights, and the Saints on top of Rochester 30-21. And our halftime score here, Indiana Tech up by 21 on Michigan-Dearborn. Other scores of note, of some importance around this area. St. Francis defeating Mount Vernon Nazarene today 65-45. Indiana Wesleyan over Taylor 99-76. Those are both final scores. Third quarter, Marion, number 2 in the NAIA with a 13-point lead in Mishawaka against Bethel. GPAC basketball this evening. Hastings leading Mount Marty by a point at the half. IU South Bend, we talked about them, unbeaten. They're trailing at St. Xavier by 4 points. That game is into the second half of action as well. The number 1 team in the country, the Dordt University Defenders, will host the University of Jamestown. That tips at 6 o'clock this evening. There's a look at the scores from across women's basketball here in the NAIA on this Wednesday night. 44-23, Tech on top here. Erica Foy, 14 points and 7 rebounds to lead the way for the Warriors in the first half. 10 points for Corinne Smith and 8 points for Genevieve Decker. On the other side, Desiree Jackson with a new season high 11 first half points for Michigan-Dearborn. We'll have the men's game coming up after this one as well. The Indiana Tech men's team at 14-10 overall, 12-6 in the WHAC. Now battling it out for that 4th place position after a 4-point loss against Rochester on Saturday. Michigan-Dearborn at 3-21 on the year, 1-17 in the conference. They're coming in following just a 1-point loss against Aquinas. Say what you want about Dearborn's record overall. They've been in a lot of close games this year, and sometimes you just got to find a way to break through on one to get you to the next step. We'll see if Michigan-Dearborn, like we talked about on the women's side before this game, can pick up what could be a program type of changing win in Game 2 here on this Wednesday night. We'll have the second half of action coming your way after this between Indiana Tech and Michigan-Dearborn here in women's basketball. 44-23 at the halftime pause. And more women's hoops is coming your way after this break. SummitCitySports.com.
Want to know the difference between dreaming and doing? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior. Want to know what it means to be a warrior? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and walk a mile in a warrior's shoes.
Welcome to the Summit City, home to the 260s dedicated high school athletes and fans. Each victory and celebration captured by our camera. Treasure the highlights from the Summit Athletic Conference this season, or complete games live or on demand. After all, nobody's more proud to call Fort Wayne home than SummitCitySports.com.
You want to know what's possible at Indiana Tech? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior.
Welcome to the Summit City, home to the 260's dedicated high school athletes and fans. Each victory and celebration captured by our camera. Treasure the highlights from the Summit Athletic Conference this season, or complete games live or on demand. After all, nobody's more proud to call Fort Wayne home than SummitCitySports.com.
Dealing with joint pains, sprains, strains, or back pain? Make the Parkview Ortho Express walk-in clinic your first stop when you have an orthopedic or sports injury. Located at the Sport One Parkview Fieldhouse, Ortho Express has specialized orthopedic physicians on staff when you need it most. Get x-rays, treatment, and referrals to Parkview Care, all in the convenience of a walk-in clinic. Ortho Express is open Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Friday 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 260-266-4007 for more.
Well, we welcome you back to the Schaefer Center as we get ready for the start of the third quarter of action. We had a brief pause in our halftime here as someone was just stretchered off the floor. Looks like everything's going to be okay, and it was just out of an abundance of precaution. But because of that, we do have a little bit more of an extended break here in this halftime. We got another 2 minutes and 45 seconds until we are back and ready for second half action. So we're going to step aside one more time. We'll take one more final break, and then we'll have second half women's basketball hoops. Again, just something kind of out of the control of everybody here. So we'll get second half hoops started momentarily after this break. And we'll get the second half underway 2.5 minutes from now. 44-23, Tech on top, SummitCitySports.com.
It's really important for freshmen to realize you get out of college what you put into it. If you dedicate yourself to your classes and to your projects and to what you're doing in college, you're going to have a really great experience here.
I wish someone would have told me my freshman year that it's important to prioritize, knowing what's important, what's not important, knowing what I need to do opposed to what I want to do.
The two things that I think all freshmen should know is buy a parking permit so you don't rack up a bunch of fines and tickets. And also make sure you go to class, because it seems like a good idea when you're skipping, but then it's not worth it in the end when you fail the test or don't turn in homework.
As an international student, my advice for the freshmen is to not be afraid to make friends, because your friends here will end up being your family away from home.
Anything that you want to do, anything that you want to put on, anything that you want to showcase on campus, you can. There's always people around to help you do what you want to do here.
Make sure that you always take time for yourself to make sure that you're okay, because college can be very overwhelming as far as like schoolwork and friends and sports and just like everyday life. Always just make sure that you get what you need to get done.
It's important to have a relationship with your professors, because you become more personable with them. You start to engage in the material more. They can give you recommendations, especially once you get out of college. You definitely want to put them down as like references. And if you have a better personal relationship, it just makes the whole learning experience go smoothly.
Third quarter of basketball from the Schaefer Center tonight, SummitCitySports.com. Jaron Matheny, glad you are with us for the ride this evening. We've got men's hoops coming up after this. And Lourdes, number 13 nationally, will be in town for men's basketball on Saturday. We'll have women's basketball, of course, Saturday against Lourdes as well. That's a 1 and 3 o'clock tip-off from the Schaefer Center. And Carson Watkins will have your coverage on Saturday. And then I'll be back next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. We've got men's volleyball Tuesday night. Wednesday, the regular season finale from the Schaefer Center. the third quarter set to begin. And it is Indiana Tech with the basketball to begin our second half from the Schaefer Center. Warriors trying to secure their 13th consecutive victory and go to 19-0 in the WHAC. Foy into the paint, left-handed floater is good for two more for Erica Foy. This 23-point advantage matches the largest lead for Indiana Tech in the first half. Grissom off a screen left. Burris went underneath there and could have been a moving screen as Grissom shots off the mark. Foy ahead to Covington. Opening minute of the third quarter. Into Corinne Smith on the right block. Kicks out Covington. Left corner three. Bench was ready for it. Offensive rebound for Covington. Or for Decker, excuse me. Covington now on the drive. Left-handed finish. Covington with 7 points for Indiana Tech. 48-23, Warriors' largest lead. Scott, a handoff to Barakat. Work it to the near side. Stimick beyond the arc, in and out. And Decker, another defensive rebound for the Warriors. Quickly up ahead, Corinne Smith inside the paint, missed it. Offensive rebound opportunity for Foy. Back to Smith. Trying to curl that lay-in around. Another opportunity on the offensive end. Covington pulls up inside of 15 and knocks it down, and a great start to the third quarter for Indiana Tech, now leading by 27. Top of the key, Miller driving right lane line, kicks out. Shot clock to single digits. Scott looking in for Barakat. She'll go to the left hand off the glass and good for two more. And Barakat has been slowed down, relatively speaking. Averages a double-double. Now got 4 points and just 2 rebounds as Foy going to come off for Indiana Tech. And Foy looked like she went towards the trainer's table pretty immediately there. Maybe just looking for a Band-Aid as well, though. Checking out her left hand from what we can see as Worm wastes no time. She's in the game and makes the shot. 53-25, Indiana Tech. Barakat muscled her way to the inside. Back for 2 more points. She's got all 4 for Michigan-Dearborn to start the third quarter. Covington to the baseline, lays it through. And the problem for Coach Bowers, she just doesn't have the bodies. Michigan-Dearborn, they just don't have the bodies. 7 players in total. 8 on the bench, but 1 unavailable. As that lay-in on the backside is good for Stimick. 6:15, third quarter. Smith on the attack and is fouled by Miller. Jackson back in as Miller goes to the bench, picking up her first personal foul. But it's free throws for Corinne Smith. And this has been the one place today, and there hasn't been a lot to complain about for Indiana Tech, but free throws, 1 for 4 in a small sample size tonight. for two really good free throw shooters. Now 2 for 5. Smith 1 for 2. She's an 82% charity stripe shooter. 87% for Foy coming into the game. .605 third quarter. Covington nearly got a takeaway. Barton's in defensively against Bearcat. He'll kick out. Stimmick three-pointers too strong. Burris up ahead to Lowry. New 5 on the floor for Indiana Tech. Burris and Covington, the only starters out there currently in the 2 guard slots. Covington long-range triples out. Grissom driving in. Goes up against Burris but missed it. Barton defensive rebound. Finds Covington as we approach the media timeout here in quarter 3. Lowry outside look. Came up short. This rolls out of bounds. And Michigan-Dearborn with possession. 5:14 third quarter. (56-29). Warriors on top. Men's teams starting to stretch and get loose up here on the track for both the Wolverines and the Warriors. Bearcat trying to back in against Barton. Finds Jackson on the right side. They go right back into her. Bearcat against Barton, trying to step to the side. Good defense from Lauren Barton. Senior out of DeWitt, Michigan. Burris head fake but stepped out of bounds. That takes us to the media timeout here in our third quarter. Malik is back in for Michigan-Dearborn. 4:46 third quarter, and we'll be back to the Schaefer Center right after this. SummitCitySports.com.
From the first day, I felt very welcome at Indiana Tech.
I just really enjoy the classes and the vibe I get from all the other athletes and just the students here. Everybody's cool and everybody gets along really well.
I'm currently a senior, and since my freshman year, student life activities have really grown throughout campus, and there's so many ways that you can meet new people. You can go bowling, you can watch movies, and it's just really important to get involved on campus.
We have intramurals, anything from billiards to basketball. It's made student life very enjoyable.
I love Fort Wayne because there's always something going on, like festivals. I walk a bunch of the trails here locally. There's great restaurants. There's always something fun to do. You can never be bored here in Fort Wayne.
The school spirit at Indiana Tech is epic. It's everything. We had our first annual hockey game not too long ago. Everybody showed up, face paint, cowbells, Trojan hats, lawn gnomes. It was amazing. It makes it so worthwhile to be a Warrior. Go Warriors.
(56-29). Number 19, Indiana Tech leading Michigan-Dearborn. 4:46 to go in the third quarter. Wolverines with the basketball out of the pause. It's Indiana Tech with a win tonight could go to 22-3 on the year. But maybe the more important note, they'd be 19-0 in the conference this season. A little too much from Jackson. Stimmick couldn't control it. As the Warriors look to go up by 30 points. Worm for Lowry, working around the arc to the right side. 3 of the 5 starters out there currently, including Burris. Her 3 pops out. Offensive rebound for Bethany Worm. Extra possession for Indiana Tech. Lowry inside to Foy. Good find, and Foy does the rest. 16 points, 9 rebounds for Foy. At 10 games this season of 20 or more points for the grad student out of Ole Miss. Burris for Smith. Quick pull on the right wing 3, halfway down and came back out. Decker, Covington, Barton, all to the scorer's table. Grissom back out up high. Lack gave out. Stimmich driving in, 7 to shoot, head fake. Malak driving in, throws it up off the iron, no, and Worm with a defensive board. Not a long minutes for Dearborn, and you can see it starting to wear as this game continues. Foy, little fade and too strong. Final 2:40 of the third quarter from the Schaefer Center on this Wednesday night. Grissom back out for Stimmich. She'll step back. Deep range look is banked in. And she'll cover her mouth after the made bucket. I don't know if she's just trying to catch some extra air or trying not to laugh. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. You see that every night. We're at the Schaefer Center for basketball. This one's thrown away, and we'll bring in subs for Indiana Tech. Decker, Covington, and Barton are on. Foy and Smith staying on the floor. Grissom. Shot blocked by Covington. Loose ball. And out of bounds. Probably not the end of the world there for Dearborn. Had a chance if that ball's thrown back in that Tech could have gone the other way. So we're down to the final 2 minutes of quarter three. 58-32, Warriors on top. Covington. And they'll go inside. Decker, wraparound pass for Barton. Give Decker the assist and Barton the two. Genevieve Decker does 8 points, handful of rebounds on 4 of 5 shooting in the first 9 minutes of play. She's got another rebound for Indiana Tech here. Decker and a push from Stimmich. Nothing she can really do with the height disadvantage on the inside. That's her first personal. Second team foul of the quarter. Decker just missed it. Grissom driving all the way to the rim, and the left-handed lay-in falls as we're down to the final 59 seconds of quarter three. Genevieve Decker, underhand toss out up high for Covington. Decker, baseline, blocked by Bearcat. Wolverines, potential 2-for-1 here. Looks like they're more interested in just getting off a good look first and foremost. Jackson. And this is a reach-in foul on Erica Foy. Bearcat facing up. And with foul coming on Indiana Tech, either Barton or Smith. It is Barton on the push. Sends Bearcat to the line for two. Burris, Lowry on for Indiana Tech. Two free throws for the senior. 75% at the line this season. Up to 7 points and 4 rebounds in 22 minutes. 1 for 2 for Bearcat. Shot clock is off. Warriors can hold for the final shot of the third quarter. Down to single digits. Burris goes to the right. Jackson picks her up defensively. Burris gets around, lays it in, and closes the third quarter on that bucket. Juliana Burris and Indiana Tech up 62-35 as we head to the fourth quarter. SummitCitySports.com. We are back in 1 minute to the Schaefer Center as we get set for fourth quarter action. Indiana Tech staring down their 19th conference win of the season, trying to go to 19-0 in the WHAC.
Tech goes by many names. Business, fine art, forensic science. Some think it's just technical. But really, tech means everything. Scholarships, internships, championships. It's professors who make time for you one-on-one. It's putting everything on the line. It can be fierce. It can be fascinating. It can be awesome. Most important, it's believing in yourself and what you have to offer the world. Because at Indiana Tech, Warriors are prepared to lead a significant life.
(62-35). Number 19, Indiana Tech leading Michigan-Dearborn. Put 10 minutes on the clock and 10 minutes separating the Warriors from their 13th consecutive win, 22nd win of the season, and a perfect 19-0 conference record. Indiana Tech looking to close it out. A sizable lead to begin the fourth quarter, although Stimac not stopping as Smith trailed behind her. And a foul on the push. First free throw is off for the freshman out of St. Charles, Michigan. 5.5 points per game. Leads the team in steals with 24 on the year. 12 points, 2 assists in the last game against Aquinas. And 1 for 2 at the free throw line here. Stimac now 8 points for Michigan-Dearborn. And a reach-in foul on Grissom. Basically the exact opposite way of how you would have liked to start this fourth quarter on both sides. What a clean quarter of basketball here. It's pink out night. Michigan-Dearborn sporting with a pink underneath the jerseys. Indiana Tech and Dearborn had pink warm-ups before the game, and you can see the coaches in the bottom of your screen for Tech all wearing pink as well as Erica Foy plus the foul. Second team foul of the quarter as Foy is up to 20 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double for Erica Foy, and the 11th game this season where she's reached at least 20 points. Free throws off, but an offensive rebound as Lowry tapped it back. Offensive foul called on the moving screen against Foy. That's the second team foul of the quarter against Indiana Tech. Just 46 seconds in. Officials have done a nice job of just keeping this game moving along, but you get to the fourth quarter and inevitably find ourselves with 4 total fouls within the first minute. Grissom back out up high. Bearcat gives up for Stimac. Floater, no good, off the right hand. Foy pulls down, rebound 11. She had 17 rebounds in a game earlier this season. Her high this year. Worm back out, Corinne Smith, lock and load. Burris offensive rebound nearly. Nobody else underneath to help her out. Decker and Covington back to the scorers table for Indiana Tech. Grissom on the step through, just missed the lay-in. Burris quickly ahead. Smith, stop on a dime, lays it up. And it's a 30-point lead for Indiana Tech. Only problem for the Warriors in some of these games is as you're starting to gear up for the national tournament, you want to be locked into some tighter battles, and hopefully Concordia can bring that test to the table a week from now. Jackson on the jumper from the free throw line, just kicked out. And then in the postseason tournament for the conference, you're hoping for really 3 strong games. Test you, push you to the limit a little bit, get you ready for the postseason. And that's where Indiana Tech, that vision of, we want to win a conference championship in the regular season, and probably the postseason was the goal coming into this year. Nice step through from Bearcat. You set those visions, and then you're starting to achieve one, and you got to have that secondary focus in addition to the first goal as Juliana Burris lays it through. And one of those secondary visions is being able to be playing your best basketball at the end of the season. Can't say that Tech's not playing their best basketball at the end of the year, just maybe not the best competition down the stretch. You don't get to see a St. Francis or Indiana Wesleyan past January. And those are the teams that really do get you ready for the national tournament. 6:45, third quarter. And Grissom's going to come off. Decker in for Foy. Burris out as well. A 28-point lead for Indiana Tech. Dory Javens is on for the first time tonight for the Warriors. Javens, the Lures grab with a wraparound pass for Genevieve Decker, who's into double figures off the lay-in. And back to a 30-point lead, give Javens the assist. And Dory Javens nearly forcing a turnover. Men's basketball coming up after this one. We'll be right about 8 o'clock in our start time. Barring any drastic changes in the pace of play going forward. Bearcat jumper is good. And that puts her up to 11 points. Miller jumps the passing lane and gets the takeaway. Corinne Smith back to the scorers table for Indiana Tech. The lack shot is out. Covington defensive board. Approaching the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Indiana Tech starting to use the shot clock a little bit more on each possession. It's just working through the offensive set. Clock is your best friend. Lowry knows it. Launches and hits. Amaris Lowry, 6 points, 2 of 4 from the floor. And this is the largest lead for Indiana Tech. It's 31-point advantage. So we're midway through the fourth. Bump in foul on Lowry. It's the third team foul of the quarter. Scott and Grissom return for Dearborn. And we've got our final media timeout with 4:51 to play. Indiana Tech on top by 31. Warriors on the brink of moving to 19-0 in the WHAC.
Want to know the difference between dreaming and doing? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a Warrior. Want to know what it means to be a Warrior? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and walk a mile in a Warrior's shoes.
73-42, number 19, Indiana Tech leading Michigan-Dearborn. The final 4 minutes and 51 seconds of action from the Schaefer Center here in women's basketball. Men's basketball is coming up after this game. Be about a 30-minute pause in between the finale of this one and the start of our second game. We'll be still here live on our YouTube page. We'll have a different link to go to, but you can find it now under the live section on YouTube. Indiana Tech Athletics, as there's Bearcat again rolling it through the iron. 13 points now for the senior, who is right in line with her average points per game at 15.5. Covington, hit up in the air, and then it's out of bounds. Last touched by the Warriors. 4:19 fourth quarter. Barton is in for Covington. Worm in as well, or Worm out as well, as Chloe McLean comes in. So McLean, Barton, Lowry, Smith, and Javins, the five on the floor for Indiana Tech, and I'm sure we're getting close to seeing McFarland and Keys as well. Grissom, deep shot. No, Javins defensive board. Javins also ran track and field, played soccer at Bishop Luers. McLean unable to finish on the lay-in. Ooh, weak foul called in the lane there. In fact, I would say that's not a foul. Two shots. I'm not sure that was even close to being real contact there from Barton. Malak on the first of two free throws. 65%. That was the fourth team foul against Indiana Tech. Two for two at the line. 73-46. We're down to the final 3.5 minutes of women's basketball on this Wednesday night from the Schaefer Center. Lowry thinking about the three. McLean gets the screen from Barton, gives up to Javins. Javins kicks out. Smith extra pass. Lowry deep ball. And that's offline to the left with 3:10 remaining. Coach Biggs, there's some things that frustrate her. She's very animated on the sideline. No matter what the score is, no matter what time is left in the game, she wants you to play full 40 minutes every single night. Turnaround, jump shot. Good work. Nice footwork. Sarah Malik hitting it. Javins the other end. Looking for a response, not there, and really a rush shot. 2.5 to go in the fourth quarter, 73-48. McLean is in. McFarland and Keys down the scorers table for Indiana Tech. Barton, and just missed on the left-hand opportunity. So Indiana Tech will go to 22-3 on the year, 19-0 in the WHAC. Dearborn will fall to 2-23, 1-18 in the conference. 20 points, 13 rebounds for Erica Foy, and she becomes the all-time leading scorer in program history. We already took the media timeout, guys. We don't need to go to break here. 1:51 left in the fourth quarter, and we're going to another media timeout. Well, the rest of this game after the break, SummitCitySports.com.
Tech goes by many names. Business, fine art, forensic science. Some think it's just technical. But really, tech means everything. Scholarships, internships, championships. It's professors who make time for you one-on-one. It's putting everything on the line. It can be fierce. It can be fascinating. It can be awesome. Most important, it's believing in yourself and what you have to offer the world. Because at Indiana Tech, Warriors are prepared to lead a significant life.
We'll run off the final minute 20 or so. Minute 51 left in this fourth quarter. SummitCitySports.com. Indiana Tech basketball. The 73-48 advantage. Keys gives out up high. McLean looking back for Keys and just not on the same line of communication. Turned over by Indiana Tech. 1:36 to go in the fourth quarter. Dearborn again, they're on the road at Cleary Saturday for 2 games to round out the regular season against Northwestern Ohio and against Siena Heights. Grissom pulling up on the jump shot. Couldn't get it to bank through. Javens ahead. McLean goes back for McFarland. Keys out left. Javens whistled for a travel. And Jackson comes back in for Michigan-Dearborn. Men's basketball is after this. 8 o'clock, our tip-off between Indiana Tech and Michigan-Dearborn. Lords will be here on Saturday. Miller, long-range look, too strong. We're inside a minute. Javens to the opposite side. Deep look, top of the key, and buried by McLean. Should be one final possession for the Wolverines, and then Indiana Tech will be able to run the rest of this clock out. McLean knocking down the triple. And the shot clock will be out after this. Barricat on the spin, finish not there. Keys rebound, and walk the rest of this one out for Indiana Tech. Michigan-Dearborn falls to 2-23 overall, 1-18 in the WHAC this season, while Indiana Tech improves to 22-3, 19-0 in the conference as the Warriors get their 13th consecutive victory. 76-48, your final score. Indiana Tech victorious over Michigan-Dearborn. Erica Foy leads the charge, 20 points and 13 rebounds, as the Warriors are now 22-3 overall and 19-0 in the WHAC. Tech is back home on Saturday against Lourdes. Carson Watkins will have your coverage for SummitCitySports.com. I'm Jaron Matheny. We'll talk to you next time. And men's basketball is coming up 30 minutes from now. Top of the hour, we'll see you for Indiana Tech men's basketball here on SummitCitySports.com. Warriors with the win.
Want to know the difference between dreaming and doing? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a Warrior. Want to know what it means to be a Warrior? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and walk a mile in a Warrior's shoes.
Welcome to the Summit City, home to the 260's dedicated high school athletes and fans. Each victory and celebration captured by our camera. Treasure the highlights from the Summit Athletic Conference this season, or complete games live or on demand. After all, nobody's more proud to call Fort Wayne home than SummitCitySports.com.
From the first day, I felt very welcome at Indiana Tech.
I just really enjoy the classes and the vibe I get from all the other athletes and just the students here. Everybody's cool and everybody gets along really well.
I'm currently a senior, and since my freshman year, student life activities have really grown throughout campus, and there are so many ways that you can meet new people. You can go bowling, you can watch movies, and it's just really important to get involved on campus.
We have intramurals, anything from billiards to basketball. It's made student life very enjoyable.
I love Fort Wayne because there's always something going on, like festivals. I walk a bunch of the trails here locally. There's great restaurants. There's always something fun to do. You can never be bored here in Fort Wayne.
The school spirit at Indiana Tech is epic. It's everything. We had our first annual hockey game not too long ago. Everybody showed up, face paint, cowbells, Trojan hats, lawn gnomes. It was amazing. It makes it so worthwhile to be a Warrior. Go Warriors.
You want to know what's possible at Indiana Tech? Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a Warrior.